square one on this one, because the last game it didn't work out exactly how they wanted it to, but we can see the first bans on your screen. Kale, Lulu coming out from SK Gaming Prime, and they did actually rock out the Kale last game, and now Jax and Kasten will be taken away from them from the team of Reason Gaming, and no doubt, and no surprise rather, that the Kasten will be taken away, and indeed the Lee Sin from Kickers.
Yeah, Lee Sin made a lot of the plays. You know, he got the quote-unquote insect maneuvers down, was a lot of the time focusing Kale to try and burn out the intervention just on herself that was no longer available for Caitlyn. That's another one. Twitch this time is going to slip through, so it is available to Ziz if he so chooses, also known as Haydown. And the first pick this time, at least, has not been banned for Gilius, so they are going to go ahead and lock that one in.
And now there are 2 picks for Reason Gaming. What will they pick in? There's the Twitch you just mentioned, Metas. Maybe what they want here. Lucian again is also available if they wanted it. Macklin did a superb job on that. And Fresh is also available. They will be going for Fresh and Twitch. But in that last game, you were mentioning about the Lee Sin, and that was one of the major factors why Kickers, and indeed the rest of the team, were able to close out the game. In the very end, came up behind them, kicked Kale into the rest of the team, threw him to the walls, and they were able to take him down, and then they just swept up from there. So taking that away removes that mechanic, removes that picking potential, ultimately lost them the game.
Very apt description of Wolves, because they were like a wolf pack, tearing anything that was thrown into their pit to shreds. And unfortunately, it was Kale most of the time that was falling prey to that. But another thing to mention here is that last time around it was Reason Gaming banned Thresh. Libic is known for his Thresh play. He's an incredibly strong Thresh player. He's going to get it this time with Twitch, which is also good on the other side because now Twitch doesn't have to worry about the hooks landing on him.
That was a very fast lock-in onto Zyra, and
yeah.
We saw Zyra yesterday in the support role twice, in fact. I believe that was from Team Alternate coming in with that pick. And now Lucian will be picked alongside the Twitch to go against him in the bottom lane. And again, it's a matchup we've seen a lot over the weekend and indeed the recent weeks. So that is no small surprise with neither of them being banned out. Irelia will be going into the top lane, and a Gragas pick. And we saw the Gragas in the jungle the other day as well.
We did, and I would assume it is going to be Gragas jungle once again. In fact, was it Kikis? I'm sure it was Kikis that used
I believe it was.
So this is certainly Gragas jungle, and that will leave mid to the last pick, which they're going to find out right here what they're going to be playing up against. Still got LeBlanc open. We haven't seen LeBlanc once yet in the tournament. Has been banned, I think, 4 or 5 times. So who knows? Maybe we're going to see that one for the first time today.
Very possible. Has slipped through the cracks. But they are bringing over currently the Yasuo, who has also not seen the light of day for a couple games, but will be locked in for certain here, and was also picked alongside Shyvana last time we saw him. We saw the Dragon Descent combo into Last Breath, and it was absolutely destructive for that team. So, picking that once again, that will be going on to Mozep. I believe, well, because Mozep is What the Fox, he was playing Yasuo. So we've seen this before from this guy, and he went huge.
Took the words right out of my mouth there. I was about to say that he did play Yasuo earlier in the tournament, and I think he went crazy digits on that as well, like 9-2 or somewhere around that mark. He had probably the MVP performances in the group stage, I'd say, one of the couple. Hiva also, you did mention before, had a great run of it, but Yasuo for him, and with the composition they're running with Zyra Stranglethorns, for me is, if you catch one player, things can get bad very quickly. And I mentioned LeBlanc before, it is actually going to get picked against Yasuo.
It will, and both teams actually have very good picking potential. You have the hook coming in, you've got LeBlanc as well to assassinate a single target, maybe in the jungle, and then to initiate a fight on top of that. And then you have Zyra as well to lock up multiple people, and the Cocoon as well from Gilius in the jungle. So if anyone makes a single misstep from either team, you could see an objective taken off the back of that, and indeed a team fight.
Yeah, definitely. Very high pick compositions coming in. Obviously, just going to wait for that slight delay. We're not on EU West this time around, so no 3-minute delays for us. And this is going to be game number 2. If you have just joined us, you're in for a potentially cracking game here. First one did go to Reason Gaming, but it was a work for them. They had to put in the hours there. They're getting the go-ahead that we're about to load in onto the Rift. So what do you reckon? Third game?
I think this will go to third game. I don't think we can call it right here and now. I think SK Gaming have way more to show in this series, and I don't think it's going to be done and dusted just yet. So I think this game will probably be going to SK Gaming Prime.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout, especially when they have the likes of Yasser on their team from Mozep, and we have already talked about that beforehand. Plus, it was far from clinical from Reason Gaming. They were snowballing at the start. They took their foot off the accelerator after getting a bit greedy, and SK Gaming Prime showed a lot of tenacity to build themselves back into that game. Yes, they lost, but they did do so with pride, in my opinion.
Yeah, that being said, Reason Gaming, they had a very solid performance in the first game. They did trip up a couple of times, but they could well take this to a 2-0. That was very possible as well.
That's true, yeah.
But I think SK Gaming, they will cling on and bring it to the all-decisive third match. But anyway, guys, we are on to the riff with SK Gaming Prime in the blue corner, going up against Reason Gaming in the red. And we'll see if they can bring this to a 1-on-1, or just roll over and keel over and take the 2-0 sweep from Reason Gaming.
It is do or die right now for SK. It is that simple. And let's see which of those options they fall under. Just going to be stacking up. We saw this in the first game as well. It didn't end up coming to fruition for them. Didn't really turn into anything, but they did get a couple of wards down for that vital information.
They will, and SK Gaming have stacked up in this brush. And this is the first more aggressive maneuver we've seen for a while. Barrel comes through. Gragas very close to death had he gone a couple steps further. But SK Gaming are still sticking with their guns. They're still sitting here, Metas. They may well go for a late invade, or they may just wander back into their jungle.
Really works up your appetite.
That was unexpected.
It was. I thought that was you for a second. I was like, oh my.
That was a good impression.
Your voice changed very quickly. But there you go. Just to kind of confirm, we do have Twitch on the rift right here. So, speaking of which, we're not going to have any lane switch-ups this time around. Both teams happy to go in the duo lanes, which of course will leave Shyvana and Irelia once again at the top.
And we constantly say that Shyvana should have the upper hand in this matchup, but I'm pretty sure every time we see this matchup, Irelia ends up winning even earlier than we had expected to. And while it does, on paper, have the upper hand, it's always been the jungler chiming in to kind of give them that early start that they need to get rolling into the game. Meanwhile, mid lane, Take Fun, already down to 60% HP, with Mozep just showing the strength of his Yasuo, flashing and flourishing his mechanics.
Yeah. In fairness, though, last time around, as we do have the pause coming in, last time around it was down to jungle intervention as well, as to why Shyvana was struggling a tiny bit. And I think that was it Take Fun that disconnected?
It was Take Fun.
It was. Okay, so we'll try and figure out what the problem is here. Hopefully it's just a matter of replugging a mouse or something like that to get us back underway. But not a great deal to talk about because we've only been on the ref for 2 minutes.
That's true. I mean, to be honest, most of our pauses have not been that long at all. They're usually only just a couple of minutes. But interesting to note, Libic has picked up a Spell Thief's Edge, which is somewhat different. I mean, you do see a lot of Targon's Embraces into Face of the Mountains and Relic Shields, which will be the first iteration of that item. So sometimes you see that. You won't get the Execute portion because he's still classed as a ranged champion, but he will be going for the Spell Thief. So that shows he's going to be more aggressive in this lane in terms of poking to get the full potential out of that item.
Yeah, I mean, you know, SK are going to look at that, and that's a declaration of intent that I want to be aggressive. I want to hurt you in the lane. I'm not going to just be looking for the death sentences and plays. I want to auto-attack you as well. I want to get right up into your face. And that's one thing that Zyra does often struggle with when confronted very close range. But so far, Libic is on the recipient end of a bit of a battering right now from the aforementioned Zyra plus Lucian. And that's one of the pitfalls of playing Twitch early. You are going to get harassed.
Especially in that matchup. Lucian does have the slight advantage, the upper hand, and Libic is going to try and even up the odds with that Spell Thief's Edge. Just the extra damage coming through. Also with the Flay extra damage will also contribute towards that. In the top lane, how are these guys doing? It's Shyvana and it's the Irelia matchup we've seen multiple times over this weekend. Here we can see a change of pace. Maybe Shyvana can get ahead early.
Yeah, we have already seen, though, that Kikis on Gragas in the jungle is very, very aggressive. He likes to go tanky, he likes to jump in first, get as much damage down as possible, and his explosive casks, the ultimates, have been on point all throughout his play. So definitely one to watch out for, especially when you consider there's a Zyra at bot lane. He's currently lurking around mid. Let's see if he goes for a gank.
I would say that Gragas' jungle clear doesn't seem that solid. However, he does flash, he gets the barrel roll, and it also gets the slam, and the first blood goes to Kikis.
Yep, Ignite did tick down, but unfortunately for Take Fun, he didn't get the first kill. They're still going to be more than happy with that outcome, however, because now LeBlanc is going to be able to push the lane and go back to spawn and get herself an item. Let's have a look-see at what that's going to be. Obviously, LeBlanc wants to start to build towards things like Deathfire Grasp, but Doran's Ring makes a lot of sense in this kind of this matchup.
Yeah, to definitely get rolling in the early game is what he's going to be looking for. But just the point I was going to make just before he went for that gank was his jungle layer doesn't seem that sustained, because he burnt through all 5 of his initial pots after just going through his jungle and was already on low HP. He wasn't even at full HP. Then he got a kill, and that didn't really matter anymore because, okay, you've burnt all your pots, but you have a first blood and all the extra gold to utilize. Top lane, Kubon and Smitty just butting heads, but Smitty did not get the better of that trade.
Yeah, and in the kill, going back to what you're talking about before, Take Fun just did so much damage that it wasn't a risk for Gragas to come in anymore. There was no way that, you know, Mozep was going to turn around and double kill them or even get a kill before dying, as we saw actually in the first game. So it was a safe gank in the end and very well executed, and that's the key point there. It was executed to perfection.
Yeah, it was the flash body slam into Mozep in the mid lane. Not even sure if he used the barrel roll. He had enough damage just from the auto attacks. The hook just lands in the bottom lane, also sweeps him into his AD carry, but meanwhile Makler was taking a beating from Ziz while he was hammering away at Zyra, and they end up fairly even. Top lane, Kubon was forced to flash as Smitty and Gilius went in for the gank, but Kickers is there to one-on-one him. So much damage from that. Gragas jungle also has the red buff, transforms into human form using that passive ultimate, of course. And then he will be backing off to turret. So no casualties here.
He also burned his flash as well, so Gilius doesn't have his flash, just to get as far away as possible. And the previous engage at bot lane looked horrific for Zayton up until the point where Recent Gaming just went straight for the support, and they weren't bothered about Ziz, who was just putting down the consistent damage. That's where Lucian excels. Ignite comes down though, trying to force Ziz back, and Makler goes in. As he says, I was hiding. He's actually going to come back into this one again. He's got Contaminate. Both heals go down. There's the Contaminate, but it's not quite enough damage.
Hiding in plain sight was Makler, but wasn't able to pick up the kill. Neither was Ziz, and they're very, very low. And still, they stay in lane. Libic is far less healthy than Zaytan, however, so they do have that advantage to SK in the bot lane. Only 6 minutes in, and no real difference. Just the first blood. And actually accelerating the goal totals in the mid lane. However, Take Fun does manage to get the ethereal change to proc on to Mozep. Keeps him in place for a second, but he was already at his turret.
Well, seems like the action at bot lane is just continuous. It's a war of attrition almost. Whereas Kickers again is in the mid lane looking for this kill. Repel on up from Gilius. He's going to land on the range. He should be A-OK. Doesn't have the flash, so he does have to be pretty careful. And then Kickers is, to his kind of favor, he is trying to make the absolute most of that flash being no longer available. He is being so aggressive.
Yeah, to his credit, he is doing
that's the
that indeed. Yeah, that's the word. And Libic, a little expecting him to last hit that, then realized he didn't have the Relic Shield, which is more of the common pickup from Fresh recently that we've been seeing, but the Spell Thief's Edge has allowed him to be a little bit more aggressive onto Zyra. However, he won't have the same range, but will be able to make sure he kills those plants. In the top lane, again, we saw them butting heads, but nothing has really given in the top lane. Not even any signs of buckling either, and it's gone very even. Kubon has not only gone even, but is 2 CS ahead, which is not very much, but it tells the tale of the lane that Smitty hasn't been bullying him around.
Yeah, and without the jungle intervention, it's going about as we'd expect. Not a great deal happening just yet. Of course, both will start to scale up shortly. As again, surprise, surprise, they're going for a few love taps on one another. There's the Transcendent Blades. Still low, Dragon's Descent available for Smitty, so there was never any hope there of a kill from Irelia.
And in the mid lane, something I haven't spoken about for a while, we did see the jungler come in and attempt for a gank, but Mozep, of course, What the Fox, has changed his name up for the finals, and Take Fun as well in the mid lane. Yasuo versus LeBlanc is a somewhat favorable matchup, you would think, for Yasuo, because he will be able to block out the combo from LeBlanc if he times the wind wall and positions it correctly, but it's all about the counterplay then coming out from Take Fun to try and get his abilities around the wind wall, or even dashing through it.
So let's take stock of what's going on right now. Well, it seems a lot of the players are actually sat on a lot of gold. I mean, you look at both AD carries, over 2,000 apiece. Supports also over 1,000. So it's a case of just, they're kind of respecting one another. They're toing and throwing, but they're not going all in because they realize in doing so, it's just way too dangerous. They're going to farm instead.
They have a lot of gold in their back pockets. It just means they haven't hit any more damage or any damage spikes because they haven't gone back to base. But, you know, even if they did, it's not going to change the state of their lanes, and therefore, why not just stay in and get some more farm while you can? Mozep is being punted around just a little bit. It's a little bit behind in the farm, but he has a large wave heading towards him, so that, again, will equalize. What were we expecting when we hit into the mid-game? As I hold that thought for a second. Pickus, none of us saw that, don't worry. It seems to be the day of faceplants. We've seen multiple of those happening.
We have, throughout the last 3 days as well, but that sentence goes out, will not be landing. I think you're going to pose a question as to what we expect to see going into the mid-game. You look at the combo from SK, it's almost like a wombo combo. They want to build around that last breath. It's so critical that a Stranglethorns lands or a Dragon's Descent lands, and they can then utilize Yasuo to his fullest extent. If they can't, Reason Gaming should really come out ahead, you have to feel. You've got LeBlanc and Twitch, you can just smash through an explosive cask that can reform and reshape fights as they see fit. So a lot of it's going to come down to how the ultimates go down one another consecutively.
The nice thing about SK's composition as well is even if they're disengaging, then you throw down the Stranglethorns, it knocks up 3-4 people as they're in chase and giving chase. And then you re-engage with the Yasuo ultimate, and you may even be able to turn around fights using that. But 10 minutes into the game, encroaching 11 minutes, means that Dragon is available, and SK do not have the vision, or rather, their opposing lineup of Reason Gaming do not have the vision, and now they come in, Explosive Cats comes out. They haven't quite gone for the full-blown fight just yet, but Gilius does take the full combo from Takefun. He is bleeding out and will be dropping for the second kill of the game. The flash forward from Kickers, he takes a swig as he just follows up with the auto attack. The nice blast breath as well will follow through. Meanwhile, in the bottom trade, we will be losing Ziz. He will be biting the dust, and the support will get out alive, but 3 quick kills. The Dragon as well, 4-0 to Reason Gaming.
Huge plays there from Reason. And look where the kills have came down. 2 on LeBlanc, 1 on Twitch. You could not have asked for too much better. And also, of course, they have the first blood on top of that for Kickers' Gragas. So across the board, that was simply huge for them. And now that's going to alleviate a bit of pressure from Twitch. He's gone back and does have the components of Blade of the Rune King. On the flip side, Lucian just short of finishing off the Bloodthirster.
I believe SK picked up the Dragon right there as well, so that's approximately worth around 2 kills, and he lost 1 more person for it. So in terms of gold, they basically fell behind by a kill, and then also the assist money on top of that. So it's not disastrous from SK Gaming, especially they're just getting out there, at least being proactive about things, which even in the last game where they were behind, they were still looking to make proactive moves.
Yeah. I think the main thing there for Reason Gaming looking at this is where the kills fell down. They're going to be so happy with that one. Red buff as well for Takefun, so he's able to now turn this one back around and start to harass Mozep as much as possible. And he also has the components of a couple of items. He's got the Seeker's Arm gone for the Zhonya's, and also Fiendish Codex, which I'm assuming will go for Death Fire Grasp.
Yeah, he'll probably be leaving as a Seeker's Arm God for a while. Yeah. It's just kind of the mid-game item for players who are up against an AD mid laner like Yasuo, like Talon, like Zed, who don't really see too much of Talon anymore, only by a couple players, but that's the item that you will go for just to mitigate some of that damage, while still being very efficient. And in bot lane, Death Sentence doesn't find its mark and won't instigate a fight.
So Reason looking to pick this game up where they left off the last one, I should say, and that's with a victory. 1-0 up. If they happen to win this game, they will be going into the finals, and they'll be facing either NIP or in Faculty, that best of 3. SK Gaming Prime, though, it's still early days, not a massive amount of difference between the two teams, because, as you said, they did get the Dragon. So let's see how this one pays off.
And in that second best of 3, NIP were definitely the favourites coming in, but so were SK Gaming Prime, and they're already 1 game behind in this best of 3 in this series. Reason Gaming are in a very good place to maybe make that 2-0. SK Gaming, Kickers is aggressing onto Mozep, but he will get away with his life, at least for the meanwhile. Take Fun is behind him. This is a classic blue buff invade in the bot lane. Zayton will be dropping. Makler gets that one and will be going into the pass of the Fury of the Fawns. Will be coming through. Ziz, I'm not sure if he has enough damage to finish off Libic, but it will be the long chase.
It will be the long chase. Meanwhile, at top lane as well, there's action going down, so it's just global hell breaking loose. So far, it's going to be the 1-for-1 trade. Support for AD carry, though. That's looking good, and now Libic could be falling afterwards. Ardent Blaze doesn't connect, but there's LeBlanc with all the damage, and instantly pops Yasuo, is now in hot pursuit of Ziz. Doesn't have a great deal of mana. Maybe that is going to come to the rescue of Lucian, who's now being re-aggressed upon. Oh no, he is just about able to survive. That was a close one, though.
And you hit the nail on the head during that play-by-play. He just didn't have the mana. And had that blue buff from Kickers been on Take Fun, that would have been a different story for Ziz. A very different ending to that tale.
Yep.
He would have been going down. But the first kill did manage to go the way of SK Gaming, and that went to Lucian. And if the last game is any indication, if your AD carry gets rolling, then they can go 15-3 and just murder everyone in a fight.
That's true. Even if you do happen to be behind, as long as Lucian is keeping relevant, as long as he's at the back lines and he's safe, then he should be all right. And we've already seen many times just how potent Shyvana is at jumping at the back lines, jumping on the AD carries and keeping them busy long enough for your Lucians, for your Twitches to clean up the rest of the fight.
Let's take a look at some of the item builds. Makler has decided to pick up the Blade of the Ruin King, which you do often see from Twitch players, as Libic just rejoins his ally in the bot lane. The Bloodthirster, of course, picked up by Ziz, who also gets picked up by the Depth Sentence into the Flay, and the Rat Signal above him will spell the end of Ziz in the bot lane. 7-1. Incredible play by that duo.
Interestingly enough, it was the Ignite that picked up the kill and not the Poison, so that does go to Libic, and that takes down his first kill. But all the same, you get a kill on the AD carry, you're happy regardless, and now they can start to push this bottom tower. Meanwhile, a top Dragon's Descent goes completely high, but can they actually pick up this kill? Smitty's ate all of the damage from that tower. Mid lane as well, Take Fun is going aggressive, but that is going to be the tower falling at bot lane. And that Dragon's Descent, it could have made all the difference if it connected.
Yeah, lane-to-lane action, but the Dragon's Descent maybe not in the most optimal of places, and found, instead of biting into a juicy lane opponent, bit into a tree. But Kikis follows up on to Smitty. Didn't have the damage to finish him off, however, just made sure he had to be more defensive going for the recall. And another tower in the mid lane, so 2 towers in quick succession by Reason Gaming, extending their gold lead and extending their map pressure in this game.
Yeah, certainly a swing and a miss there, but that's not a miss right here from Libic. Picks up the first kill and the Dark Passage as well. Smooth plays from the bot lane duo of Reason Gaming.
And he may re-engage this fight. A good win wall. Libic realizing that's a win wall. My hook doesn't go through it. Means nothing will be happening there. However, top lane, Smitty is just not able to trade against Kubon anymore, and that is not something you want to have to deal with this early into the game. Mid lane once again, maybe re-engaging as the stealth bomber from the side.
Yeah, there's the Flay on top of Yasuo, culling as well from Ziz. They're doing a bit of damage, but Yasuo will fall. Death Sentence does land. Nice relentless pursuit from Ziz will knock him against the wall rather than back towards Twitch. Double kill now for LeBlanc as she goes one more onto Elise. Ziz will survive, but the damage has already definitely been done. Dragon's live, and that's pretty much where Reason Gaming want to opt to next.
It's just textbook. They pick up 2 kills, they go for an objective. They pick up a kill in their lane, they go for an objective. And even without jungler intervention, even without other lanes going into fights, into skirmishes, they've been winning out. You saw in the bot lane, Libic and Makler 2 versus 2 beat their lane opponents down. Dragon will be going now to Reason Gaming. They had superb control over those objectives last game, and nothing has clearly changed. Kubon in the top lane will be hammering away at the turret, making that all the outer turrets are down for SK Gaming. They're just losing map pressure. They're losing this game piece by piece.
7.5k goal difference at 18 minutes is simply huge right now. Reason Gaming, they have it in the right places as well. 8 of their 10 kills on their carries. Top lane Smitty has to back away, but 5-0 LeBlanc, 3-1 Twitch.
And the top lane, despite there being no kills, has not been an uninteractive lane. And Irelia has been winning over time, and now that the items are stacking up, is a thorn in the side of SK, which they will start needing to commit more than just one person to him. And we kind of saw this scenario in a couple games early in this tournament, where eventually Smitty may become a brick wall, and you can see he's not opting towards damage. He knows he's just a stalling mechanism for his team at the moment. He's not looking to kill Ireli, he's just looking to make sure she doesn't take everything they own. Yeah,
he knows his role, and he knows what's expected of him at this stage. What they really need is Mozep to start getting some kills and start getting relevant in this game. Static Shiv, yes, it's a great item, but when it's the only finished top item you have at 19 minutes, as a Yasuo, that's not ideal, not by any stretch of the imagination. We've already spoke about the builds that Yasuo has been going for. You get the Blade of the Rune King approach after this and Infinity Edge. I'm kind of interested to see which way they go with this one. You can see Smitty is very tanky. He's not eating a great deal of damage so far, but now here comes the Dragon's Descent just to escape. But that is a ultimate burn.
Also, Ethereal Change, followed by a mimicked Ethereal Change by LeBlanc, which maybe not the most optimal combo in that situation. It did keep him in place, but didn't have the damage really to finish him off. In the mid lane, Gilius finds Makler, and we will be stealthing up and looking for the lantern, but he just wanders off while his ally is just thrown to SK, but he just lands a perfect box, keeping everyone at bay. The Cocoon doesn't quite find its mark, and Libic is quite happy to walk out of that dodgy situation.
Another thing I'd like to draw attention to as well is we were wondering how Take Fun would build LeBlanc. When we saw the Fiendish Codex, we thought, okay, Deathfire Grasp. I really like the Rebel's Death Cap because it makes sense. You've got Windwall that comes down, and Deathfire Grasp is kind of a gimmicky, all-in, bursty type of thing. Windwall can kind of block off one of her key spells. Rebel's Death Cap is just better for sustained damage constantly. So overall, I like the way that he's approaching the game, and he's been rewarded so far with these 5 kills.
Smitty, though, in the top lane is not being rewarded as Kubon may be taking him down. Oh, a great hook, a good Death Sentence living up to its name. Will be securing the death warrant for that player. And now Ziz following through with the culling. All that being blocked off by Kubon, who will shrug it off. Ionian Fervor means he will be able to jump away from the CC. Just get the follow-up with the repel. Can he get in range to land the Cocoon? Answer's going to be no, and Makler still is being aggressive.
Yep, that was so close for SK. That's what they wanted. If that Strangle Thorns had landed, then you would have got the engage from Yasuo. I'm not sure about this from Ziz. Don't play too aggressive because you've got Kickers coming round from the side. That was a beautiful explosive cask, and this is going to turn deadly very quickly. 2 quick fire kills gone for Irelia. The turnaround from Yasuo, though, is absolutely huge, and now Ziz is going to get the shutdown. I don't fancy his chances to pick up any more, but that combo from SK was brutal. It's not enough, though.
That was disgusting play from Reason Gaming. 4 for 2. They just completely ran over SK. And yes, they had the combo, they just didn't have the damage. And Smitty, what are you doing there? Okay, he will be able to survive, but his job is to try and clear out the minions. Can he actually do it? Everyone's very low from Reason Gaming, but that doesn't mean they stop packing a punch. Makler stays in for a bit too long, trades his life for the turret. Kickers will not be doing the same thing, but a life for a turret, I think they'll take it.
Definitely worth. They don't even get shut down from him. So it's like, okay, death for an objective. I'm dead for 22 seconds. You're not taking the objectives of this unless you go for a Baron, which is so dangerous at this stage of the game because you can see Smitty's health. He's not exactly a spring chicken himself in terms of health, and they are going to be starting this one off. This is really incredibly ballsy.
It is, but this is the play they have to make. They have no other alternatives, and it worked out in the first game. Why won't it work again? Will they get it down? The explosive cask over the wall will not be getting it, but now it may be a clean-up time and maybe the end for SK as they pick up 1. They pick up maybe a second. That's not going to be the case, and it was actually 1-for-1 exchange and the Baron going to SK. In fact, Stress will be breaking it down for us.
Yeah, SK rushed the Baron after Kickis didn't have Smite available and was so low health there was no contest. They didn't see there was no Smite. That was just nice and coincidental for SK. They only lose 1, and that pick on Twitch ended up being crucial for SK, as that might be the difference to bring them back into this game. But I believe it was What the Fox, who was obviously renamed for today. I believe that was a 5-man Yasuo ultimate up in that top lane fight, and not often you see that, but that really highlights how far behind SK have been, that didn't win them a fight.
Yeah, that kind of epitomizes how far behind they are. Land a 5-man Yasuo ult, still lose.
Yeah, it's the same sort of thing with like Orianna and those big game-changing ultimates. It's like, oh, a 5-man shockwave, but you just don't have the damage behind it at this stage. And Kikis was able to do some damage, and he will be engaging in this fight.
Oh, that was a beautiful explosive cast, completely isolating Lucian, who will fall. Here comes a re-engage, though, from SK Gaming Prime. Yasuo is taking the damage. He has to flash away. But there is the brick. There is the wall of Smitty. 4 players smashing down on him. Finally, they will secure this kill, surely. And in the meanwhile, Zayden's been picked up as well. So another massive fight for Reason Gaming.
And that Baroned up team from SK were not able to do anything. Another kill comes out. The double kill, in fact, for Take Fun. Oh no, now the white is all over Smitty, and now he's actually attacking his aggressor. So that worked out in the end, but while he's chasing him down, they're just going to be pushing down the base.
Yeah, the white, an indiscriminate killing machine. It doesn't care which team you're on, it's going to go for you.
He's killed a lot of people.
One vicious little guy, that is. It has killed a lot of people, myself included, because I'm a trash jungler. But I'm just throwing it out there. Dragon's been picked up from Twitch. And the gold advantages continue to grow. 13,000 at 24 minutes. And there's another pause.
There is a pause. Maybe Take Fun having another problem, but we haven't seen any disconnects, so it might be a peripheral problem. We just don't know. So we will get information thrown your way when we have that available to us. But at least it gives, well, I was going to say, gives the team, gives us a little bit of time to compose themselves, but only about 5 seconds of composure.
Not a great deal. Maybe that's all they need, though. Maybe they gave themselves a quick slap in the face and like, come on guys, we can do this. We can still win this game. Let's wake up. Because if we lose this, we're out of the tournament. It is that simple, and we will not be able to leapfrog ourselves to the grand finale. Either way, 15 kills behind, 5 towers behind. It is no easy situation for them.
It's looking dire. I think we can all agree on that one.
Fair statement to make.
But it's not the end of the road. There is still a light at the end of the tunnel. Yasuo is definitely been the playmaker for his team over the tournament. Not had the greatest of starts, neither has the rest of his team. But a 5-man Yasuo ultimate again in the right place could be what they need at this stage. And he's done it before, and he can do it again. And usually you'd be saying, well, that's usually not available to you. You can't just expect a 5-man Yasuo ult to happen, but may get that set up from his team.
The problem for me, though, looking at the composition and the items as well for SK, is that they're so reliant on Lucian and Yasuo to do the damage. Shyvana's building tanky, and so is Elise. So if either Lucian or Yasuo die instantly, they pretty much have no follow-up damage whatsoever. And we've seen Yasuo constantly being picked up at the start of fights. So he's 1-6, hasn't really done a great deal in this game, other than that 5-man ult, which was set up for him beautifully. But you can see that Reason Gaming don't care. They're just going to roam around the map and pick up objectives if they do so.
And they also have a problem in that both their damage dealers are both AD. So you just build one defensive stat, the armor, and you're mitigating the damage from 2 of these players. And goodbye, Zaitan just gets removed from the fight already. A great death sentence. Makes sure everyone stays in place with the box on top of it and the flay. No one can get into this fight. Smitty is too far away from his team. That's 1, that's 2. Make that 3. Gilius and Ziz are the only things, the only men standing between Reason Gaming and the grand finals right now. They pick up the first inhibitor turret, they move on to the inhibitor itself. Can they come back from this? Oh, a death sentence! Absolutely insane play by Livik coming out. Gets 1 more kill. The repel comes up. The 1 versus 5. He will be able to get 1 in return. Everyone is respawning, but Reason Gaming may have to turn tail and run, but they've done so much work. Oh, another death sentence. Gets yet another kill. Double kill comes out from Makler.
I was a bit confused to start with, but actually it stops the onslaught, and they do get the shutdown gold as well. They did burn the flash and the stranglethorns though from Zyra, so Titan is going to be a bit weak for the foreseeable future. Also went through his ignite as well, but that last team fight, although went on for a while, again highlights the point that I was trying to make, and indeed you did too, that all of their damage is attack damage. All their damage comes from 2 players. And even though Ziz got a full culling off in that fight, most of it landing on key targets, didn't matter. It did not kill anybody.
The problem that they're facing right now is their way of stopping Reason Gaming from finishing the game was basically running at them like lemmings one by one, eventually just weakening them to the stage where they can't go on any further. But at the same time, just feeding them more kills. Ziz takes so much damage by Kubon, the one-man army. He has the rest of the team behind him, and they get the hook. Oh, it's enough just to kill it by himself, and Libic will be smiling all the way to the bank.
Style points attained from Libic to pick up that kill. And this is why we said he's a terror on Thresh. He really is so difficult to play off against. He is huge as well, by the way. So tanky. Teleport coming in from Kubon. They want to try and finish this one off right here, right now. Another death sentence lands on Zayton. We spoke about this before. Doesn't have his ultimate. It's going to be off cooldown very shortly. And you do see the repel coming out as well from Gilius. Finally, they get the shutdown goal onto Twitch, and they've done enough to push them back. Don't overextend here, otherwise you will fall prey. And that's exactly what they've done. And he is going to get paid with his life. They're going to go back on towards this one, and it looks as though, unless Smitty can pull off one hell of a play, this is going to be all she wrote.
He did manage to pick up one, but Take Fun is here to secure the next kill, and sure as hell he will do that. Ziz comes back into the action though, finds himself kickers, and now everyone has to run away from the big scary Lucian. Kubon, Take Fun is still there, and even Kubon on low HP you have to be careful of. And they still have the super minion pressure. He's just back up against the wall too. Scary Assassin. Oh, the damage from the distortion, the mimic distortion. 60% of his HP. The cunning comes through. This is just last stand at this point, and I'm not sure if he's going to be standing any longer.
They're still somehow, some way in this matchup, although the Nexus Tower is very close to falling. Can they save it? No. The minions do get the upper hand. The one thing I didn't take into account, and judging by Kikis' movement, he didn't either in that fight on the inhibitor tower, is that Lucian was indeed spawning, and he did come in and pick that one up. Baron is live, and with the two inhibs nearly down, bottom inhib has fallen, middle very close to. Are they going to go for this? Are they going to go for another ballsy play on Baron?
They have to at this stage. There's no other way out. They can just sit in their base and wait for the inevitable, or they can make a play on Baron and try and make it work. But last time, remember, that was basically the perfect fight. They got Makler at the very start. Can they repeat history? Oh, the damage just from Take Fun and the barrel as well. They're setting up perfectly for this fight.
They're going back in once again. There's Twitch, though, with the rat-a-tat-tat double kill for him. He wants the triple. It's going to be LeBlanc that takes it down finally, and Irelia chimes in. All that remains is Ziz, and he has been decimated. Ace, Baron, and with 30 seconds on the number of players, this is at the very least an inhibitor. And look at the super minions. They're wreaking havoc on the Nexus.
A 5-0 sweep. In fact, they just throw in the towel. And that is a 2-0 win from Reason Gaming in this semi-finals. That is not a result a lot of people were expecting.
It certainly isn't a result. And, you know, speaking to the SK Gaming Prime's manager, they thought they had that game in the bag. They were very confident going into it. And unfortunately, it just didn't pay off for them. And this is one of the reasons why that I said, you know, Reason Gaming 2-1 in the group stage didn't blow a lot of people away, but you have to look underneath the surface. They were performing well.
Indeed, and a bit of a shocker. But 2-0, Reason Gaming have to be walking away from that game with a smile on their faces. That was extremely strong performance.
It certainly was, and you know, if NIP and Faculty are watching this game, I think they've got a few worries right now. They've got a few doubts potentially, because that was a clinical performance. You can see that SK kind of not feeling great right now. Don't blame them. And